Two massive U.S. aircraft carriers, thousands of miles from home, patrolling the heart of one of the world's most sensitive and tense maritime regions. The USS Nimitz and USS Carl Vinson, two nuclear-powered giants of the U.S. Navy, are currently in the South China Sea, capturing global attention. This isn't just a routine maneuver. It's a strategic show of force that has Beijing, Tokyo, Manila, and even Washington on edge. Is the U.S. preparing for a bigger game? Why are these movements causing such a stir right now? Let's unravel this geopolitical puzzle and uncover what's behind this story. The South China Sea is more than just a body of water. It's a global chessboard where every move could change the world. This 3.5 million square kilometer region is the route for 1/3 of global maritime trade. From giant oil tankers to container ships that keep the global economy alive, they all pass through these waters. The sea is rich in oil, gas, and fish, shining like a strategic treasure in the Pacific Ocean. But there's a big problem. China claims almost the entire region as its own, even defying a 2016 International Court ruling in The Hague that rejected its claims. China has turned this sea into a military stronghold by building artificial islands, deploying anti-aircraft missiles, and installing advanced radars. Now, the U.S. has entered the scene, declaring, "We won't let this region become China's backyard." When the USS Nimitz patrols these waters with its immense presence, it's not just cruising, it's sending a loud and clear message to the world. Freedom of navigation is a red line. Let's zoom in on these sea giants for a moment. The USS Nimitz is a nuclear-powered floating fortress carrying over 60 fighter jets and helicopters, from deadly FA-18s to Seahawk helicopters. With 5,000 crew members, it's like a mobile city on water, capable of conducting operations for months without stopping. Right now, Nimitz is performing round-the-clock flight operations, attack simulations, and anti-submarine drills. But what makes this story even more thrilling is that Nimitz isn't alone. The USS Carl Vinson is in the same region with equal power and grandeur. Two aircraft carriers in a sensitive region? This is a rare event and signals that the U.S. is sending a decisive strategic message. This level of military presence in the South China Sea hasn't been seen since 2020. In fact, these operations are part of the U.S. Navy's broader strategy called FONOP, aimed at ensuring open access to international waters. But why now? Is this just a show of strength or the prelude to a bigger scenario? To grasp the depth of this situation, we need to look at China's moves. Over the past decade, China has rapidly flexed its muscles in this region. It has built artificial islands that are now military bases equipped with anti-ship and anti-aircraft missiles. Advanced radars, runways, and deep-water ports for warships have been established on these islands. China has even deployed its Coast Guard and maritime militia to push foreign vessels out of international waters. Every U.S. move in this region is closely watched by China's People's Liberation Army, Navy, and Coast Guard. When two massive U.S. aircraft carriers enter the region, China doesn't just observe, it reacts. Reports indicate that China has increased its fighter jet patrols in the area and even conducted missile exercises to send a counter-message. This is a game of power balance that could lead to a miscalculation at any moment. This story isn't just about the US and China. Other countries like Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, Japan, and Australia are closely watching this show of force. Vietnam and the Philippines have their own territorial disputes with China and have repeatedly clashed with Chinese vessels in these waters. Japan and Australia, as close U.S. allies, are concerned about getting caught between the two superpowers one day. The simultaneous presence of two U.S. aircraft carriers sends a clear message to these countries. We've got your back. The U.S. wants to show its allies that it can deploy its massive forces anytime, anywhere, even right at China's doorstep. In fact, these operations are part of America's free and open Indo-Pacific strategy, aimed at preventing China from dominating this critical region. But here's another interesting point. This show of force isn't just for China. The U.S. is also sending a message to Russia, which has recently grown closer to China in military cooperation. Joint China-Russia exercises in the Pacific and their increasing military collaboration have raised alarms in Washington. With this massive presence, the U.S. is telling both powers, "We still have the final say." This story doesn't end with 2 aircraft carriers. Each carrier operates with a full strike group, a floating army with unmatched power, including advanced destroyers like the USS Decatur and USS Wayne E. Meyer, equipped with Aegis radar systems and Tomahawk cruise missiles capable of striking targets hundreds of miles away. Guided missile cruisers like the USS Bunker Hill serve as both defensive shields and offensive forces. Attack submarines from the Los Angeles or Virginia class move like ghosts underwater, their positions never revealed. P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft with advanced radars keep the entire region under surveillance, while refueling tankers like the KC-135 Stratotanker or FA-18 acting as buddy tankers keep fighters airborne for hours. This isn't just a carrier, it's a coordinated network of military power ready for any scenario, from limited skirmishes to full-scale operations in this sensitive region. The U.S. isn't playing this game alone. In this region, you might find Australian destroyers like HMAS Hobart, Japanese helicopter carriers like JS Izumo, or even British support ships like HMS Defender. These ships may operate under their own flags, but they're coordinated within a larger strategic framework with the U.S. Moreover, the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, INDOPACOM, is constantly repositioning its assets in the region. For instance, a nuclear submarine might be stationed in the Malacca Strait, or an F-35 squadron could be on standby at a base in Guam. These are all pieces of a massive military puzzle the U.S. has assembled in the region. Another intriguing detail, cyber and intelligence operations are thriving in this region. The U.S. uses satellites, spy drones like the RQ-4 Global Hawk, and electronic surveillance systems to monitor every move China makes. China, in turn, isn't idle, engaging in cyber attacks and espionage to gain the upper hand. This is a hidden war in the digital realm running parallel to the maritime show of force. These movements are happening at a critical time. Tensions over Taiwan have reached their peak. China recently conducted massive military exercises around Taiwan and threatened a decisive response to any foreign interference. The U.S., meanwhile, is challenging Beijing by selling weapons to Taiwan and increasing diplomatic support. On another front, the U.S.-China competition in technology, such as semiconductors, and artificial intelligence, has turned into a new Cold War. The South China Sea is just one stage in this broader rivalry, but perhaps the most critical one. A single small incident, like a collision between ships or the downing of a drone, could act like a spark in a powder keg. Every flight taking off from the decks of the USS Nimitz or Carl Vinson sends a message heard 10,000 miles away. These operations are not just a show of strength. They're a strategic warning to China, a reassurance to allies, and a test for the entire Indo-Pacific region. Will China back down or become more aggressive? Will Japan, Australia, and others join the U.S. in future exercises? And if a miscalculation occurs, how will the world react? This story is about dominance, deterrence, and power balance. The U.S., with this massive presence, is telling the world, We are still the dominant power in this region. But my question to you is, what do you think? Is this just a routine maneuver? Or is the US preparing for a bigger scenario? Share your thoughts in the comments. What will China's response be? Will US allies step up? Or is this just a grand bluff? If you enjoyed this thrilling story and in-depth analysis, like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss anything. We're back every week with exciting stories from the world of geopolitics, military strategy, and global powers. Which side of this global chess game are you on? Share your opinion in the comments and let us know what you think the next move might be.